4-6, part 2. We're going to solve some equations by completing the square. So if you remember from the last half of this lesson, in order to complete the square and fill in this space, we need to take half of 10, which is 5, and then we square it, which gives us 25. So x squared minus 10x, completing the square, we need to add 25. Once we know that we're adding 25 on the left side, we must also add 25 on the right side to keep the equation balanced. So then we can take this trinomial on the left and we can factor it into x minus 5 quantity squared. Envision your square. How many x's will you have on each side? How many do you take to complete it? And that equals 30. Then we take the square root on each side. And remember, when you take a square root, you get two answers. Since the square root of 30 is not a whole number, we'll just write it as plus or minus square root of 30. And then we add 5 to each side. When we add 5, the 5 is positive, and there's our solution. Actually, that's two solutions. And you can turn the square root of 30 into a decimal if you would like, so that you can add 5 to that. And in decimal form, we get x equals 10.5 if you round it, and negative 0.5 if you round it. Okay, for part B over here, we're going to need to move the 3 to the other side of the equation. So we have x squared plus 6x equals 3. You go ahead and complete the square here and solve it, and hit pause while you do that. Hit play when you're ready to go on. Okay, these are some more complicated problems. We're going to try to solve this by completing the square also. First thing you should notice on this problem, though, is that there is a GCF. And so we will factor that out. If we factor out the 3, we have x squared minus 4x plus 2 equals 0. And we're solving for x, so really we would like to eliminate that 3. So we're going to just divide both sides by 3, which we could have done at the beginning instead of factoring it out. And 0 divided by 3 is 0. Now we're going to subtract 2 on both sides. And we leave ourselves some space here to complete the square. So we're going to complete the square. So half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So we add 4 on each side. And then we factor it. X minus 2 quantity squared equals 2. Then we can take the square root, and we get x minus 2 equals plus or minus square root 2. And then adding 2 to each side, we get x equals 2 plus or minus square root 2. Okay, you try example B. Hit pause while you work. Hit play when you're ready to go on. Okay, we're going to relate this to the graphing now. When you have an equation in vertex form, then you instantly know what the vertex is. So we're going to take these standard form equations, we're going to complete the square, and by completing the square, we're going to put the standard form equation in vertex form. So first thing we will do is move the constant term over to the left side so that we can complete the square. So adding 6 to each side gives us y plus 6 equals x squared plus 3x. Okay, now we're going to complete the square. So we're going to take half of 3. Half of 3 is 1.5, and we square that. So we're looking at 3 halves squared, which is 9/4 or 2.25. Okay, since we add 2.25 on the right, we have to remember to add 2.25 on the left. Okay, now that we have completed the square, we can write our equation in factored form. 6 plus 2.5 is 8.25. And factoring the trinomial, we would have x plus 1.5 squared, because 1.5 is half of 3. And finally, we subtract the 8.25, and we have our equation in vertex form. Since the equation is in vertex form, we can name the vertex. The vertex is negative 1.5, negative 8.25. If you remember from way back in lesson 4.1, we translate left 1.5 and down 8.25, making that the vertex. Second question we have up here is to name the y-intercept. The y-intercept is most easily named from standard form because in standard form we can substitute zeros in for both x's and we get our y-intercept right there. So the y-intercept is going to be the point 0, negative 6. Okay, you do example B. Press pause while you work. Actually, that's the end of this lesson, and then you can check your answers.